let's get to these games because I mean it was something. United Coventry yesterday, Craig, was just insane. It really was. United up 3-0 at one point. It goes to penalties in the end after Coventry just get a goal waved off due to offside in the dying breath of extra time. And then United find a way and they squeak through. I've seen a lot of stories just hammering Erik ten Hag this morning. It's not often that a manager looks bad in a win, but is that what happened here?
Yeah. What an almost like incredible game that really was. I mean, there was no real threat from Coventry at 3-0, and then all of a sudden the collapse happens, and then it goes to extra time, and it was electric. Man U hitting the post, Coventry hitting the underside of the crossbar, and then they score late, and then the VAR takes a few minutes to come up with the decision that it's offside, and I'm not even sure it's correct. It was so tight, I'm not sure that line was absolutely correct. A lot of talk about that, and interesting. I don't know what they do with that VAR situation, because I guess if they're using technology to do it, and it says that it's an offside, I don't know where we go from there, because it's either offside or it's not. And if the computer and the technology is saying it's offside, you sort of have to go with that, or you don't, or you decide on something else. But it's becoming a problem, and that explosive excitement that you see when you score goals is not necessarily there now, because you don't know after the check whether it's going to count or not. So that enthusiasm is sort of lost after goals a little bit. So I'm not sure where they go with this, but I think MLS has got it right as far as they don't use that technology. They just use the naked eye. And if it's that close, we're going with the attacker. I think it happened. We saw in a Montreal game or Vancouver where that happened, and it looked offside, but to the naked eye, it wasn't clear and obvious, and they just let it go and allowed the goal. So maybe that's the direction they go in with that. I'm not sure.
It's the biggest crime for me with VAR is just how it's taken away the drama and the theater, simply because someone scores a goal and straight away, well, they're going to review it. Is it, as opposed to, like you said, they create that raw emotion, where ball's in, there's no flag up, referee said goal. Okay, it's a fucking goal. Yeah. I just hate that. And now people are saying, oh yeah, but you get 2 chances to celebrate. Like, no, you don't. It's not the same. It really isn't. It's taken away the purity of the sport in that regard. It just really upsets me. Can you imagine that goal has stood? What we'll be talking about this morning, Coventry in the FA Cup final. I mean, what a story! What a story!
It would have been. If that was the final, that would have really been some big talking points. But I mean, having won that, then they would have had to play Man City. Obviously, we know which way that's probably going to go. Probably, but it was something else. It was the brilliance of the FA Cup, and the Coventry fans stayed after the game. It was just packed, that half of the stadium. I don't know how many they had there, 30,000, 35,000 Coventry fans there. And that whole day, and even though they lost, it was special. It was special for them. And a lot of talk this week about the video or the FA Cup replays going away without any conversation with the lower divisions. It was the Premier League and the FA that made that decision. And again, I think, it's a case of just the powers of football pushing things in the way that the big clubs want. And they don't want to play extra games. They don't want to play replays. But for lower clubs and lower divisions, a replay means a ton of money to keep your club healthy and financially secure. And those moments are really, really big. And over the history of the FA Cup, we've seen some incredible replays that have brought memories. Ronnie Ranford of who was that lower division team that beat Newcastle back in the day? Incredible scenes. So it's lower divisions really getting screwed over again.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a special moment as well for Coventry, because as you guys know, over the last 10, 15 years, a struggle that club has had. And Coventry back in the day were a decent Premier League team that had some very, very good players. And they dropped down numerous divisions. They had issues with their stadium. They couldn't figure it out. I think they ended up playing their home games at Northampton Town. And then they came back to Coventry. And for them to go on that cup run, that's just another way. And it's the magic of the FA Cup as well that gives that city a buzz and brings everybody back together supporting the club again. So it was great to see. What a good run. Mm-hmm. Especially beating a bit of a derby with Wolves as well. Another Premier League team to get to the semi-finals and have a good game against Man United. So it was good to see.
Yeah.
I like those stories.
I remember when they won it in 1987 or something like that. I remember that. It was a big thing when Coventry had a decent side, like you said, in the top flight, doing well, pretty stable.
Americans for them, playing for them as well. Kobe
Who
John.
was, sorry?
There was a few Americans playing for them.
Yeah, who is? I'm trying to think. Muzzy is it? No. Mustafa
Kobe.
Haji. Remember him? Mustafa
Kobe.
Haji.
Yeah.
Come on,
Kobe played for them. Who is the other English American guy that played for them? Slips my mind.
I'm trying to think. So let me go through some names here who played for. Dion Dublin was there for years, right? Remember?
Dion Dublin was there.
Yeah, one of the great strikers in Premier League history.
Richard Shaw, center back.
Right. Tommy Hutchison, way back when. Steve Grizovic, Craig.
Yeah, big Augie.
Back in the 80s, right?
Oh, yeah. Hammer House of Horrors.
His nose. Wasn't it? Was he the guy that never had a broken nose?
No, he had a few, I think.
Okay, who was it? Who someone said about getting his nose fixed after all the breaks?
Bill Parks.
Phil Parks.
Yeah. He's like, I never broke my nose either, Gaffer. This is the way I was born.
Deformed, great thing. Cyril Regis. Remember Cyril Regis too?
Yeah.
Like a pioneer. Yeah. No, Coventry is you're right. They were a very, very decent side for a long time.
Wagerly. Remember
Roy Wegerle?
Yeah,
Roy
Roy
Wegerle.
He American guy. He played for them.
Okay. Yeah. But here we are in another Manc derby in the FA Cup final, which will have, there's appeal to that, isn't there? Obviously.
Yeah.
If United win that, and listen, stranger things have happened. If they manage to win that and win the FA Cup, how would you look at their season? Any differently?
Well, I mean, if they manage to beat Man City, yeah, that'll be a big highlight for the season that hasn't been great, basically, but it'll be something. Yeah, they'll take it.
Would that save Eric Ten Hag, do you think?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know.
If you think about Man United, every year they've got to be pushing for a title or getting into a Champions League. That's what they're expected to do. You're 16 points out of a Champions League spot right now. That's a terrible season. Is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Terrible.
But you win the FA Cup. I mean, it's difficult. I guess you can look at the season and you can break it into different parts, can't you? And winning the FA Cup would be incredible, a great achievement. And you can still have a terrible season, I think. Still look back on this season as being, man, that was a rough one. It's time for change. I was watching the London Marathon yesterday, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who just bought 25% of United, changing it all up there. He was running it, the marathon, and then jetting over to Wembley for the FA Cup semi-final. Guy's like in his 70s, I think.
What an asshole!
I know.
Makes you feel like shit, doesn't it?
Billionaire, runs marathons,
owns clubs, and is running a marathon.
Now, give me one of those things.
Jet over to.
Would you rather be a billionaire or run a marathon?
He's just showing off now, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It would be impressive if you won the marathon as well.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't win, did you? You're way down the table there, Jim, just like your club.
Yeah. He was in the top 10 for over 70s.
So City also into the final, beating Chelsea 1-0. Do you see Pep's post-match presser? It's brilliant. He just goes off on football and how many games there are. He said, why don't they give us one more day to recover for the FA Cup? Coventry, Man United, and Chelsea don't play in the Champions League. Don't ask us to do extra things now because we won't do it. It's unacceptable to play today. Because coming up with Champions League, lost to Real Madrid, tough one, penalties, and then you're playing on Saturday in the FA Cup. Again, it goes back to the whole too many games thing, right? We discussed before about no more replays in the FA Cup. And yeah, it sucks for the small teams. It really does. It's unfair. But the FA Cup is the one that's had to blink first here because there are just too many games.
Can I flip this, Sharms? If Man City won the penalty on the penalties, would he be saying the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, hey, we just came off a win and I get to have fun in this FA Cup. And
Yeah, I
Does
wonder.
it change Pep's
think-
kind of outlook if they had won?
I think he's been on this bandwagon for a while.
Well,
right?
I agree there, but I'm just saying it might not have had the same tone had they
Yeah,
come
you could
off
be
a
right.
victory.
The nerves
You
are a
know?
little bit more frayed because of the result
Yeah,
in the Champions League.
a little more tender.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just think as well, they've got, what, 22 players on the first team plus a reserve team. They've got about 40 players to select from. They've got a lot of players.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's also in the position where whatever he says along those lines, nobody's going to have sympathy for him.
No chance, because everybody's thinking the way that we're thinking. You've
Yeah,
got
but there are
loads
too
of
many
players.
games, though. But regardless of Pep and City, right? I get what you're saying, but there are too many games, are there not? You guys
Yes.
played,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't play. Yes, there are too many games.
but there are. As simple as that. Now Pep says that, right? And we can all kind of nod. Okay, yeah, you're right. As far as too many games, and Klopp will say the same thing, and we'll all nod and say, yeah. And then some other manager will say too many. Yeah, we all agree there's too many games, but nothing is going to change, right? If everyone agrees it's a thing, a fact, but nothing ever changes.
No, it doesn't. And this has been going on for decades. They've been talking about this. Oh, whether there should be a winter break and there's this, and we play too many games. And then when they have a break, these clubs decide that they're going to take their squads over to Asia because they want a big payday. And you know what I mean? So it's
That's a good point.
Like you don't use that time anyway. If there's any gaps anywhere, they use these teams to travel around to make money off them.
True. It's so true. They play so many games, but we're going to go to Asia for preseason and play 6 preseason games.
Yeah. Look at Miami, even, MLS. They travel over to Middle East, Asia, all over
Australia.
the place.
Ridiculous.
Australia, all these old guys traveling around with the team, and Christ, and then no wonder they come back and they're like, I'm sure there must have been saying like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing they did though was when they said there was too many games, they lowered the number of teams in the Premier League, didn't they?
That's right. They went from 24 to 20.
They went from 24 to 20.
Over.
Could they go? There's been talk about going even further and going to 18. That's been discussed.
Bundesliga does that. Bundesliga is 18 teams.
Yeah.
But the Premier League won't do that because that's money, right?
Did you ever play too many games, Craig? Jimmy, did you guys ever play, was the season in the 90s like it is now? Because you were there for the beginning of it, Craig. Was it too many then, or was it just right? No,
there's too many. Too many.
There were too many then too.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're in that the championship's got 24 teams, so that's 46 league games. Then you got your cup games. You come into the cups a little bit earlier, generally, if you're down divisions.
I had seasons where I played about 60-odd games, and don't forget international as well.
Oh, by the time you get to the summer, if there's a international tournament or something like that, you're bagged.
You're done because you're playing all your domestic football of the league, then all your cups, and then you're playing international as well. It adds up real quick.
So 7-8 footy primes a week. It's not too hard for you guys, right? Just so I know. I'm hearing you, and I'm just saying.
There's just too many pods nowadays. Too many pods. I mean, we're only human.
Pods are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
That's so true. And
there's only so many good assholes out there.
It's a lot of bad assholes, as JC knows from his audition.
A lot of shit talking out there, isn't there?
Some stink more than others.
So ideally, Jimmy, let me ask you this as player and a coach too. Ideally, how much time do you need off to really regenerate and come back, physically? Forget like serious injuries, got to recover and recuperate from a knee, and just like from fatigue. You play a full season. How long do you think you really need to do kind of nothing, or just?
In England, we only had 6-7 weeks off, and then we were back in preseason again.
Is that enough though?
With MLS, it was very, very long. CPL was even longer, and you're talking months and months. That's way too long to be off.
Unless you're Hamilton or Forge or Cavalry and playing in the Champions Cup in January, a little bit different maybe.
Yeah, but even then, you've got to have a mini preseason to get them ready for that match, and then after that match, then you got to taper them off again and then get them ready again a few weeks later for a preseason before the season starts.
So difficult. I know,
It's so
such a
difficult.
challenge.
It really is, but it's way too much time off for me in the CPL, and even MLS is a long time off.
So ideally, I mean, I know you have summer tournaments and tours and stuff. Nowadays, players have like 2 or 3 weeks off maybe, but ideally, how long should it be? A month? Would that be enough to recuperate? Obviously, you're going to still work out in that time, but is a month off?
A month and a half.
Month and a half, yeah. You need 6-7 weeks.
I think so. Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as you switch off completely. I mean, you don't, well, you say switch off completely. You're always doing some physical work, ticking over, doing some running, some cardiovascular work and whatnot to keep yourself somewhat in good shape. And you think about it, Jimmy, I mean, one thing was for sure, if you did have 6 weeks off, you'd go back in preseason and you'd feel like you were starting from zero. Like you really felt out of shape in that short a period. Like if you're off for 3 weeks and you do nothing, you need to work on your fitness because it is not at a level that will be good enough. It happens really quickly.
Yeah.
Drop out of shape.
There's some athletes, though, right? Those freaks of nature who just always fit, though, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just your match fitness goals, and you need that.
Yeah. There's fitness and match fitness. It's very different, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Well, we'll be whining about this for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have like 15 pods a week, and we'll be whining about too much football. It's gonna, right? Because nothing's gonna change. There's more stuff coming in, right? Maybe expand squad size. I don't know what the answer is, but it's all a bit crazy.